The Skoda Kodiaq has been known for being a good price-performance family SUV. Here it is now in the new generation, and we will drive it for you today and tell you how good is it and also how does it compare to the sibling, the VW Tiguan, that was recently also launched in the new generation. With Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front. The all-new Kodiaq is really bold in the front. This is also the Sportline, exclusively for you here today. Then there is the black frame around the grille. Otherwise, you have a bright frame around the grille. And this color here is called Race Blue. Yes, my favorite color. That's what we call Thomas Blue here, also on Autogefühl. Yes, these t-shirts will soon be available in our merch section. We are preparing that for you at this moment. Then in the lower part here, this honeycomb style. So over very cool styling. Headlamps with a nice daytime running light, so-called Skoda crystal lighting. This is the matrix LED you can also get. The length, 4.76 m or 187 inches, just grown a little bit in length. But this one here is actually significantly longer than the VW Tiguan, about 22 centimeters. Then you can see these crossover wheel arches. These are 19-inch wheels. 19 inch is standard with the Sportline that also has this badge right here. You can even go up to 20-inch wheels. And also the Sportline has a blacked out, it's a kind of D-pillar or the last pillar here at the back part. Otherwise, this is also in a bright design scheme. It's more form for this function. This vehicle is about space on the interior. And on the rear, once again with the Sportline, a blacked out Skoda lettering, really large here now in this new generation, and also more a functional design. I think it's a good approach because we will have a lot of space on the interior. On the technology side, very important, here with the Sportline you already get a sportier suspension. But optional, for all the versions, you can get the DCC, now called DCC Plus. Volkswagen calls it DCC Pro, they call it DCC Plus, but it's the same technology. Now a 2-valve technology for the adaptive suspension, the dynamic chassis control. And that one actually promises more comfort and more sportiness at the same time. Is that true? We will test it in the driving part for you today. Turning indicators, wow, they look amazing here, already in the front right. I like that new styling. What about you? And by the way, you can hardly see it from this angle, but when you go a little bit lower, then you can see you can also get an illumination in the front grille for the new Kodiaq. It's kind of split, I would say, but yeah, a nice element at night. And in the rear, you also have these cascading turning indicators or hazard lights if you have this matrix LED option. And yeah, you have seen it correctly. The rear light is just at the outside parts. This middle part then here is, yeah, it's just a like physical graphic, let's say that way. It's no light behind it or something. And now Leah is showing us one of the most famous features in the Skoda, the Rolls-Royce-alike feature. There we go, there it is hidden, the famous Skoda umbrella. There we go. And with a button you can actually open it. Yeah, it can also be a sunshade, and when you press the button again, then it closes. I did that wrong last time. Yeah, against wind it's not that resistant, but the opening and closing function is actually quite good. Yeah, and it always takes time, of course, to put it back in place again there. Key fob, high gloss black. I don't like it that much, and this is also one of the reasons why I don't like it. It just collects these scratches so easily, actually. Then here, door closing sound. Very solid. And you also hear that this mechanism is also sounding a little bit. Here, this door sill protector is a very nice and easy system, so you don't get scratches in the parking lot and so on. It's not only available for the front, but also for the rear. Look at that. Here we go. Yeah, that's, I think, a very cool idea, isn't it? Then, inside of the doors, a soft touch here on the top part, also with a nice structure. I like the build quality. And the Sportline here has these sporty in it. Here you can really feel that. It's also like a real structure you can also feel. So that looks and feels really nice. Microfiber then inserts here for the Sportline, here with these contrast stitches. Then you have these Skoda features like the small trash bin. You can get it on both sides, and also felt on the inside is a really thick felt covering as well. Then new Kodiaq here, new generation with new steering wheel. You still have rear interface at the steering wheel here, for example, for the volume jog. One click button for the heated steering wheel. I like that. Unfortunately, they don't offer any animal skin alternative for the steering wheel yet here. But for the seats, there are a lot of alternatives available, base fabric seats or also microfiber seats, for example, also in the sporty version here in the Sportline, which is really special here with these holes opening a little bit more. Yeah, it's a kind of big perforation, I would call it, and especially the shoulder accentuation here. And this is microfiber and leatherette, so this is actually a very nice choice here for the Sportline here today. And the comfort in these seats is really very good. So headroom, plenty left with 189 or 6'2", and they really give good shoulder support here, nice and soft from the microfiber, all electric control here by the way, so I'm really happy with the comfort. Steering wheel here then in the manual control, up and down, in and out. And a very special feature here for the Kodiaq is this split glove box. Here there's actually I wanted to start with the other one. This is now very bad in the storytelling. Let's just pretend that this didn't happen. You have not seen anything. So there is the normal glove box in the lower part. And now comes the big surprise. There it is with the second top one. Okay, we don't edit it out. It's maybe a little bit funny as well. Yeah, and also here in the Sportline, we have the microfiber covering of that one here with the contour stitching. So that's a very cool idea. And once again, this inlet we've seen at the inside of the doors. The soft touch dashboard on top here with structure. This is a 13-inch screen. It's an option. You would start with 10-inch, so a little bit smaller if you just prefer it a little bit smaller. You know, some prefer it smaller, some prefer it bigger. You know, that's the thing. And here, smart dial setup. That's what I want to show you directly. You can pick 4 different functions for these lower dials in the middle part. Like here, for example, the fan speed. Click it one more time. Click it. There we go. Here, then is the volume selection. One more time, this then for the DCC selection, for the driving modes. So you can have that all in one dial in the lower part. And that's, I think, a very nice, fresh solution. So you can keep the rather conservative layout we know already, we're used to. At the same time, make it a little bit more digitalized and individualize the thing. And I especially appreciate here the manual climate unit. That's cool to have it here. And also here is the push feature. We have seen it with Range Rover first, I think. Here then for the seat heating, for example. So that's a cool idea. Also, when you have set the other temperature in a different way, then you can here hold to sync left and right. Digital instruments are also customizable, whatever you want to see. So the fuel info, map, and also these gauges. But I here also rather prefer this classic look. Yeah, probably like this. And you can get a head-up display in the windshield. This is also the snow mode, then the numbers are blue. Middle console, also microfiber styling here in the Sportline. You can slide this one forward or backward, open it, more space underneath. And then these two here in the front, you can also slide open, 2 USB-C chargers there, but you can also have 2 inductive chargers. They both work indeed. And you see it also fits with an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Why do the girls always have the big smartphones and the boys have the smaller smartphones? Why is that? Can you tell me? I don't know, yeah. Then here, let's slide these ones open. And here you have cup holders. They're really small, I have to say, and more space right here. When you use the climate unit, you also have this overlay then here in the infotainment system. More to that also while driving. They have really upgraded the software, so it's quicker to select now. Here you can select in the screen, but you can also use the dial then from below. So both is actually possible, and assistance systems control is either here or also in the instruments there. You can also quickly access it. And you also have this large integration of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, both wired or wireless, how you choose it. Now it gets really exciting. First of all, the Kodiaq is available as 5-seater or as 7-seater. Today we have the 7-seater, soon going to show you. First of all, let's start with the second row. Here we have these sunshades you can get. They go also very wide. It's a very good idea then. Also the inside of the rear doors is, let's see. This is hardpack now. It's structured but hardpack, so not soft touch here like in the front, but we have the nice microfiber inserts here in the Sportline, and also this structured insert, then this design decor element. And the doors at the rear are also not felt covered, so that's maybe a little bit disappointing. Then we have so many features here. First of all, this strap here to change the angle of the back part. like this, so more laying back or more upright, both is possible. Then you can slide the bench forward or backward. So this is like a 1/3, 2/3 split. Then we have here two bags, like a bigger one and this like a smaller one, for example, also for a smartphone. But we also have these holders you can get. Don't have to do it. I'm not the biggest fan as for crash safety and so on. But of course, it's convenient not to hold your smartphone, or you can also put it like this then, horizontal format if you watch something. Or you can also, usually that's more meant like for, you know, tablets, iPads and so on. You can here adjust then the size and so on. So, but I think this is a better solution than these always built-in holders, because this holder here you can also just easily remove. So when you don't need it, better to remove it for the crash safety, I would say. This is a good and easy solution overall. Then we have, first of all, I can show you here, this is 2/3 then for sliding forward and backward. Here, this middle tunnel, we have a climate unit. Sort of with seat heating. When the car is running, then also the seat heating would appear. Climate unit separate for the rear seats, two USB-C chargers. And this lower unit, this is in addition, you don't have to go for it. You can also take this whole thing out. This would be possible. And when it is in, see here these rubber lips. When you fold them back in like this, then they become cup holders, or you fold them away and then they're just like this cubby hole. Then we have the middle armrest. Not adaptive, these cup holders though, so maybe the kids will spill it. The middle part can also be folded separately. You can see the top tether behind. Other than that, ISOFIX there in the front on the outside seats each. But we really have to say, yes, the quality is amazing once again here also for the rear seats. Nice with the microfiber. But also how Leah is standing here now filming, the door doesn't open too wide. You know, so when you want to access child seats here, see here, I would rather wish for almost 90-degree opening. So getting large child seats in and out is maybe not ideal. Let's take it that way. Headroom in the rear, plenty available, no problem at all. Legroom is also good. This is the seat I would be driving, and you see here these sport seats are very voluminous. I would guess that the normal seats are maybe a little bit slimmer than, but is enough legroom definitely. And here once again this shade. So overall very well usable. There's so much to tell you about this rear experience, and that's also what the vehicle is really about. And now it gets even more interesting. What about the fifth? Wait a minute. I mean the third seating row. That means the sixth and seventh seats. Yeah, that's 1, 2, yeah, 7 seats. Let's just check it out. All right, third seating row. Now the comments are coming in, like Thomas in the third seating row with the time codes, because it always looks funny when I'm a tall person reside in tiny places. So, and then there's like a lever on the top part, and you can push that thing forward like this, and then yeah, the entry is fairly good. So either you can put this third seating row up from the trunk like this, or you can also put it up from here just like this very easily, and then you can also fold it down like this. Let's see if there's any other adjustment possible. No, that's basically it. Also with a nice microfiber in the Sportline, so they didn't save that. So, and then you can push the head restraints up like this. It's also decent. And the thing is now, so when, yeah, like this, I could sit here. As for the headroom, it's possible. You even have own cup holders here, like one cup holder. But if we push this bench back here, then of course it gets problematic, because that way I could sit here, but then look at that front part there, second seat row. It's not possible that anyone sits here. So that's why I did a test, and I pushed this seat here actually in the length, the way that I could still sit in the second seating row, because like this I could still sit there. Can I fit behind it then here? Not really. So here my knee is almost like here. So this is not for tall people in the third seating row. It's more like a, there, let's see again. They also don't have ISOFIX here in the third row. So this is more, let's say, yeah, for kids that are already old enough not to need like a large child seat. But then again, they're not too old, they're not too tall. So it's only for something in between. or if you're not as tall as me. So it's nice maybe to have the option, but at that length, maybe it makes more sense to stick with the 5-seater. Or what would you say? Trunk or boot, 845 liters with the 7-seater, 9 or 10 liters with the 5-seater. Let's take a look. First of all, here we can play some Tetris, because these are these boot splitters that I can, prevent things from falling all over the place. Yeah, well, why not? Very nice idea for sure. So quite flexible. The length here, by the way, the width first is 1 meter or 40 inches in the middle part between the arches, but then in the upper part it's more like 120 in meters or 47 inches, and the normal trunk length is 1 meters and 7 or 42 inches. Then let's fold the stuff here, release it like this, and on the other side like this. There we go. You see, to put it fully flat, you have to go around, then push them down, then they're fixed like that. And you can see this is here just an additional cover. Actually, you can fold this one here up or away like this, and they're actually attached here to the third seating row. So it's not a must-have. There we go. More space underneath, also for a replacement tire, and you can also leave it like this in this position. And this is also here a slidable cover. You press it once like this. The only thing is it's very thin, so here this edge here is kind of sharp. You have to be careful with that. And to fold here the 6 and 7 seat, you can put these straps here, which are underneath. You can put it through this cover. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of this cover, but again, it's optional. And then you can also pull them up like this. Yeah, have to remove this one first, naturally. Sorry, didn't think of that. So this is of course important, because otherwise no one can sit there anyway. So like this and like this. Under the hood, quite a lot of engine choices. This here, the entry petrol level engine, 1.5 TSI mild hybrid MHEV system, 150 horsepower. We'll drive that one here today, but you can also get a 2-liter TSI, stronger petrol engine. There you can also get an all-wheel drive choice. Or what about the 2-liter TDI, also in 2 different horsepower specs. This engine here is, however, also based for the plug-in hybrid version, which is the most major upgrade, I would say. Now a 20 kWh net battery, massively increased, so like 80 kilometers, 50 miles of real-world range on the pure electric side. And also the recharging is definitely way quicker than before. Sport mode. Yeah, that was actually quite decent. It's of course not the quickest engine. This here, the 1.5 TSI mild hybrid system. The acceleration figure, official one, is just under 10 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 60 miles an hour. So it will not be the strongest engine in the lineup, rather the weakest. But for most cases, since it has a turbo, it will still serve the purpose. It has also a low entry price. We start here with some motorway driving, so going to 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and it's actually decently silent in here. This is also a thing about this new generation. It is more aerodynamic, and I also feel that they worked on the noise insulation that is the turning indicator is actually quite nice in the sound, right? So let me just turn it again. Yeah, I think that sounds rich in a way, like not rich in the money sense, but rich, like a rich sound. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think it gives you good comfort also here with the Sportline sport seats, microfiber, and they hold you also tight in the corners, so it's a good comfort experience definitely. Steering here also a little bit depends on the mode, but still, although we are in the sport mode, it is rather soft, I would say. We can also switch it then here back to the normal mode again, then it's even a little bit softer, but overall it still gives you a quite good feeling of what you're actually doing on the road. And I'm really happy that we can still select here the drive modes in the lower part. Here, easy from sport to normal again, and I press it one more time, then I can also select the volume back again, and yeah, you can also have more functions on there as we've shown to you in the interior part. probably for driving it's best to select the driving modes there. Yeah, for example, the volume I just changed here with my left thumb on the steering wheel, so that's definitely an easier thing to do. Also, when I realized, it's getting a little bit hot in here then now. It's getting hot in here. Both? Yeah. So we can adjust the temperature here easily while driving. So I love this user interface. It's also to me easier if you compare it to the Volkswagen Tiguan, the sister model. They kept here a more classic user interface, and here it's also interesting. So I criticized it last time while driving. This is the car internal GPS, and you have this climate overlay here, this visualization, which is indeed actually quite nice because it's placed in a lower area, and then that you really don't have to look at it, you can also have it up here. And then last time it was the case that you had the overlay on the car internal GPS, but this was not the case for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto map. And now they changed it actually. So here when I'm, for example, in Apple Maps and I control the climate unit here, there's this overlay, but last time it went black, like the whole GPS screen went black. This time it did not go black. So here the normal overview, so they fixed this software-wise. It's actually quite good that we find out some stuff, that we can also report that to them, or maybe you as a customer can also have some comments underneath the video, and then they can also work on the software status. Now we switch the motorway. This is, by the way, the speed warning. So here we go. Good feeling for the steering wheel. Does it actually feel different than the Tiguan? They come really, really close. Although the Kodiaq is a little bit longer, you don't feel too much of it, I would say. Maybe just a little bit. But overall, since they sit on the very same platform and share so much in the tech, they really come very, very close in the driving. It's more than a question of if you want that extra space here from the Kodiaq. To accelerate onto the motorway, this 1.5 TSI is sometimes a little bit sluggish. So if you have a lot of higher speed motorway situations, I would probably recommend then to go for the 2-liter TSI, for example, or then for the diesel version. The plug-in hybrid will of course also give you more punch. It's not that it's not okay, just that I'm not the biggest fan of downsizing. So when there's a bigger engine with higher displacement available, usually also for long-term durability reasons is actually quite good. On the other hand, this mild hybrid system can also save some fuel so that you have a lower fuel consumption. And one more thing to talk about is the DCC Plus, as Skoda calls it, DCC Pro, it's been called at Volkswagen. And on individual then, there we can go to configure, and then we can rule from comfort to sport like the whole way. This new 2-valve technology really gave us so much comfort. It's really awesome, and I would actually pick the comfort setting all the way and then sport steering. So that would be my individual mode, because that way you have greatest comfort from suspension, but it's not that it would be shaking up or so, but the steering gives you more feedback. Of course, it's not the sportiest SUV in the world. That's what you cannot expect from the Kodiaq, also when we're here in the roundabout or something. But since the suspension is now even more comfortable, this new DCC Pro lifts, or DCC Plus as Skoda calls it, it really lifts it on another level, and I like that. And I think it very well plays together with the added noise insulation, and then here this upgraded suspension, that it's even more comfortable overall. So this makes up, especially like these are the main two differences if you compare the previous Kodiaq to this one now. So about the assistance systems, here there's a blind spot monitor. When I'm setting the turning indicator, the side mirror is also flashing, that's helpful. And then you can of course also activate the cruise control. You have different assistance systems available. You can also activate or deactivate quite easily. That's I think a good thing, because if something is annoying you at some point, like an assistance system, you press here one button and then you can, for example, deactivate the lane assist or deactivate the speed warning. That's a quick thing to do. So yeah, that's actually quite good. Then I can also switch between ACC and the travel assist. The travel assist is the most elaborated system, and I have a separate stalk column here left below, and then I can also have the most elaborated cruise control, so to speak. So here we go, I set it, and then I can also adjust the speed here with this stalk column. And now the car is basically doing everything for me. So keeping the distance to the front and also keeping me in the lane. And so far so good. It's a very smooth system actually, so there are no hectic steering movements. It's still level 2, so you're supposed to keep your hands at the steering wheel at all times like this. But overall they worked also on these systems, and they are way more elaborated than here now in this generation. And I mean, there's a lot of cars around us here at the moment, so quite a lot of traffic, and I really feel that they worked so much on noise insulation. We've had it with the Tiguan as well, and this is probably, to me, the biggest difference then from the previous generation Kodiaq to this generation now. That's just more silent and more relaxing ride. And yeah, together with the nice sporty seats here, they are sporty but at the same time more comfortable, I feel. This gives a very good Autobahn cruiser here. What do you think, Leah? You're already dreaming, so you agree. That's always a good sign, you know, when she's like thinking, yeah, let him talk, you know, I'm just relaxing here. It's like and it's always a bad sign when she's like, very like, you know, I hope this will be finished soon. But this definitely like a relaxed sign for that. Yeah, so very good performance here driving wise on the motorway in all the different aspects actually. And to me, really the thing that I have the good user interface, at the same time I have all modern systems that I maybe want or maybe need. So here also, when you just like more steady, not so much acceleration, then also the 1.5 TSI is absolutely fine, you know. We just do one more lane change when we're here at 100 kilometers an hour, see how that performs. Car doesn't shake up at all. Really calm driving experience. We have 19-inch wheels mounted here at the moment. This is probably then still a good choice between you have great visual and you still have some comfort. 20-inch wheels, I would probably not go for them because they maybe look cooler. At the same time, you also lose comfort when you have less dampening comfort than from the tires. So I think this year, as a Sportline 19-inch wheels, is I think a very good choice to configure this vehicle, because it gives you comfort. At the same time, you have a nice sporty look. When you say, hey, I don't want like this boring family SUV, I want something, you know, with spice. And I think this is what especially the new Kodiaq here in the Sportline really nails. Consumption here today with the 1.5 liter TSI, very good. Well, we went mainly 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour on the motorway, so ideal conditions. We went with about 6 liters on 1 kilometers, that's 39 mpg US, about 47 mpg UK. Excellent result, of course. Will be a little bit worse when you have more city traffic and so on. But you can see, yes, it's not the most powerful engine, not at all. But then again, with this mild hybrid system, it can also save some fuel. With a better mix of city and so on, you can add like a liter or maybe like deduct 5 mpg or something. Then you get a more realistic value when you also have other driving conditions. Pricing here, you start around 40,000 euros as it's spec'd right here. You can also exceed some 50,000 euros. However, as for the price performance, it's still actually quite good. And especially here in the new generation with the updated adaptive suspension and the better noise insulation, it gives you a more premium ride, definitely. Comparison to the Tiguan, yes, this just has more space and the possibility of a 7-seater. Remember that the EU Tiguan now is just the small one. There will be a bigger, the Tiguan, which also adds then more seat possibility, which will be more similar to the Kodiaq actually. And this Tiguan will be then the US Tiguan. Yes, sense, logic, sorry about that, that's how VW is planning it. But getting back to the Skoda Kodiaq, overall I think once again a very nice result and a nice upgrade here in this new generation, especially because they kept this rather classic user interface but mixed it with some new digital elements. Then I would only wish for a completely animal-free interior. That's maybe on my bucket list then here for this vehicle. But good that we also have the 7-seater possibility. Not too many possibilities for families if you want more than 5 seats. This is definitely a very nice one. Now check out the VW Tiguan review. Or if you rather say, wait a minute, maybe Skoda, but not an SUV, then it's the Skoda Superb.